All right, let's jump right into it. Digital strategy. So you have a website and a Facebook page. So we're off to an okay start. And some businesses think that's enough. It's it's not. So I'm gonna explain why your business plan, your marketing plan, should outline your digital strategy, because it's more than just marketing, although that's what we're going to focus on here. But a digital strategy has to do with your operations, your finance, your customer relations, your employees, your safety, your infrastructure. We could go on. And it could also be about disruption and innovation, which is a topic all in of itself that I could talk about ad nauseum. But what we want to focus on here is the digital arena and everything that's in it.
Okay, so these are the topics that we're going to look at. And as we can see, we're going to look at strategy first, tools that you can use, how to personalize, diversify, innovate, adapt, monitor, things that you should avoid, analyzing, and then adjusting.
So, digital marketing strategy is a huge subject. Strategy in general is a huge subject. So, I'm just going to give you an overview and then do some highlights of some areas. But what I really want to talk about and what's important is that technology has totally transformed how we do business, how we see the world. I see businesses still struggling with this. Some do it right. Some have caught on, but those that really excel have an integrated strategy that drives their business's growth. So a digital marketing strategy is more than just one thing. It's made of many different parts, a lot of them moving, and it's not just about blogging or a Facebook post or your website. And just because you do those things and they happen to be digital doesn't mean that you have an overall strategy. In fact, a lot of companies and businesses do not. Strategy as a concept is difficult enough when you know what you're doing. Um, it's about creating an overall business strategy, marketing strategy is what we're talking about, that works for you and your business. So this is not a one size fits all where you can just plug in different things and say, all right, we've got a marketing strategy now. The other thing is that you don't want to segment off your digital marketing strategy from your traditional marketing strategy. And this happens more often than you'd think. And the issue with that is that the lines get blurred as to messaging, who's doing what. There's lots of problems I'm going to talk about later on. And it's an easy trap to fall into. And even big companies fall into this. Maybe especially big companies are prone to this. The digital space is rapidly moving, and your competitors are aware of this, or at least they should be aware of it. So, keeping this very basic, I'm going to break down about 10 components. We'll see, maybe I'll throw another one in about what you should keep in mind when you're developing your digital marketing strategy. Okay, so what is a strategy? That's going to be my first point. First off, you have to identify what your business goals are. There have to be concrete reasons why you want to digitize part of your business, all of your business, or your marketing. Specifically, you want to have an overall plan for the things I mentioned before. And those include your employees, your operations, your finance, reducing waste. Do you follow Lean Six Sigma principles? I'd love to talk about that more. Having a business marketing strategy will increase efficiencies, increase your brand awareness, motivate your customer base, improve communications, You'll have better brand messaging. So your customers in return will have, your customers, consumers will have greater mobility, easier access to information, more flexibility, and this in turn will increase their customer satisfaction. And if there's one thing that you want to do with your digital marketing strategy, is increase customer satisfaction and awareness. So let's think of a digital marketing strategy as building something. And let's take Legos, for example. Suppose we have 1,000 bricks pieces in front of us and we have to create something. It's going to take on different shapes, and we'll use each of those pieces in different ways. So this is important because in creating a strategy, you have to understand that things will change and things will look different now from them, maybe dramatically. You might start off with something and then it turns into something else. You might have to disassemble those blocks. You might have to get rid of blocks. You might have to create new blocks. The key in putting together a digital marketing strategy is that it's adaptable. And I think that's clearly illustrated by things that have happened in the last year, in the last 5 years, last 10 years. You can see where things have changed, where consumer desires and wants have changed, needs have changed. So it's important that your digital marketing strategy be adaptable to emerging technologies. And if you don't follow that, these technologies will be picked up by your competitors, or you'll have deficiencies, inefficiencies in your operation. So consumer behavior is going to continue to change, and we need to look at those technologies to know what customers want. What will they want? I don't really know the answer to that. For your particular business, we could figure it out together, but in the future, that's going to change, and you won't know the answer. I won't know the answer until that day comes. But you have to have the ability to change and adapt and embrace those changes. Now, you don't want to adapt and adopt every change that comes along, or think that every new technological advance is apt to your business or your industry. It won't be. You have to be very selective in what you want and what you're trying to do. Yet you want to be perceptive enough to know that there are places where you can improve your systems and your practices. This is so true in marketing, that things are so different from where they were even 5 years ago. Remember, a model that's too rigid will fail in the long term. Okay, what tools to use? So this is really a discussion where we start with where best to direct your resources, because like many business decisions, you don't have unlimited capital and resources and manpower to market your business the way you'd like to. I've often told people that I can accomplish any result if you're willing to spend any amount of money. Now, that's not a realistic approach. So I understand that we have budgets, we have certain things that already take up fixed resources and capital. And from a marketing viewpoint, it might be hard to want to transfer or divert resources, additional resources, or conversely, it might be the first place where you might consider cutting costs. So those are things that we have to take into account when we think of what tools we're going to use, because unfortunately we can't use all the tools that are out there. Obviously, I don't know your business. I might not even be that familiar with your specific industry. So I can't say that you should do this or that. And I even believe that within the same industry that there are certain tools that some should use and some shouldn't. So I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money. I'm not saying go out and hire an SEO expert. I'm not saying, invest heavily in pay-per-clicks or to use Google AdWords. Maybe you should do all those things. Maybe you should do none of those things. Maybe you should do more things. The point that I would like to make is that you should use the right tools for you to achieve the desired results. So when I want to open a bottle of wine, I use a corkscrew. I don't use my shoe. Although I could use my shoe to open a bottle of wine, but it's not the most effective way for me to accomplish my goal. So that's really what you have to do is you have to marry that. What's my goal? What's the best way for me to get to that goal? So only use the tools that will achieve your goals. Don't just go all out digital because you think that that's the best thing to do. Having a blanket approach is never a good idea. And that really goes back to having a solid strategy, because you need to have those goals very well outlined. So what's your business goal? Is it boosting revenue? Is it reducing overhead? Is it raising brand awareness? Once you know the answers to once you know the questions, then you can find the solutions in a digital marketing strategy. So whatever your goal is, you should keep in mind that you need to go, and especially in the digital world, just like you would in the physical world, you need to go where your customers are. And you need to understand that you have many different audiences, as you do in real life. There's no hegemonic sort of demographic that any business has that it can rely on completely to drive business and to drive growth. So let's focus on finding your customers. And I think it's important for a business to have certain things. Obviously, you should have a social media strategy. You should have an email. That's still such an important, super important aspect of digital marketing. Email is something that I think has kind of gone through ebbs and flows, but it's still very important. And you should definitely integrate your customers into a customer relationship management system. You can better target your customers, identify their needs and wants. So really what you want to do is figure out who your audiences are and how best to reach them and for what purposes you're reaching them. So the adage that sometimes it's good to cast a wide net, it might work in some circumstances, other times not so much. Also, something that is a pet peeve of mine is your website, and particularly your pages in particular, that they're optimized. It's important to understand where your traffic's coming from, what content people are paying attention to, what content they're not paying attention to. I know a lot of people talk about this, and it's extremely important, but it's also important to understand how people find you. SEO is something that if you don't personally know about, you should definitely look into or find someone that knows about it and can help you with that. So as I said, there's tons of tools that you can use to digitally connect. You can use AdWords, you can use Facebook advertising, you can use LinkedIn advertising, you can use banner ads, you can do website takeovers, email marketing. It's endless, the things that you could do. But you have to understand that there are limitations to a digital marketing strategy, and that even with the proper platforms that you identify that are right for your business, the more important issue is that the messaging is right. And that goes to something I'm going to talk about in great detail, and that's content advertising, content marketing, because that's what you should be doing regardless of where whatever platform you're using. So as I said, search, emails, social media marketing, these are important things. But I'm sure that there are opportunities that you're missing because you're not targeting the right audiences. So maybe you want to find a platform or an outlet that lets you better interact with your customers, because that's where you'll get the most return on your investment. And this could be especially true if you do a lot of B2B business, but even B2C. This is important because of the connections that you can bring. And by connections, I mean, are you offering more digital products or services? Are you offering enhancements? I'll take, in terms of enhancements, one example of this would be my Oral-B toothbrush. And it's the only toothbrush that I use because it has an app. Now, it's the exact same kind of toothbrush I used to have, but it has an app now. So it tells me how long I brushed. If I brushed too hard, it reminds me to floss and to rinse. And so it's the same product, but it's just digitally enhanced, and it's a way for me to it's a way for Oral-B to engage me. And other businesses are using technology to better service customers. So that's something else that you can include in your messaging. I think of M Tailor, which does custom shirts, and they use an app so that you get a perfect fit shirt. So whatever it is, are you rebundling something? Repackaging it, digitally. And remember too that you have some ability to influence the demands and wants of your customers, because you're listening to them and they're telling you what they want from a product, or what digital innovation that they want next. Thanks for watching part 1 of Digital Marketing Strategy. Look for the next part, where we'll cover customization, diversification, innovation, adapting, monitoring, avoidances, analyzing, and adjusting. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Matt. My contact information follows. Please like and share this video.